Is it just me, or was there something special about the 80s and 90s that just can't be replicated? Looking back, we can't help but notice that the animated films from that bygone era just have a strange edge to them. Now, maybe we're just suckers for dark and gritty stuff, or maybe we're just in desperate need of some long overdue therapy, but we just can't seem to get enough of the blood and gore depicted in these glorious films. Now, if you're anything like us, we promise this is going to be a fun one. Greetings, Marvelous fans. We're back with another Marvelous video, and this time we're counting down the top 10 darkest and grittiest retro anime films ever made. Yeah, we know, you've already seen a bunch of lists like this all over the internet, but we promise this one's going to be different. After all, it's no use mentioning landmark films like Akira, Wicked City, Vampire Hunter D, End of Evangelion, or Ninja Scroll for the millionth time in a calendar year. Instead, we're going to take a look at some of the lesser-known gems that have unfortunately gone under the radar. So hold on to your hats and grab some popcorn, because it's about to get dark in here. Jin-Roh, the Wolf Brigade. Let's start our journey into the dark and gritty with something that never fails to excite us: political strife, dystopian societies, and human tragedy. Now, before you judge, just hear us out. Jin-Roh, the Wolf Brigade, is perhaps one of the most haunting commentaries on the cost of war ever created, and it's time it got its due. Released in 1999, this is a story that blends the all-encompassing nature of a post-war dystopia with an intimate understanding of human behavior and loss. Directed by Hiroyuki Okiura and written by Mamoru Oshii, this tale follows Kazuki Fuse, a member of the elite counterterrorism unit known as the Wolf Brigade. That's one of the most badass names we've ever heard, and in reality, the Brigade is a ruthless force of trained individuals who have just one purpose: to suppress insurgents no matter the cost. And for Fuse, the cost is far too much. During a routine mission, Fuse's momentary hesitation leads to the suicide of a young courier working for the insurgents in the course of a failed operation. This incident takes a heavy psychological toll on him as she begins to see the real cost of state violence. As her psychological armor is slowly stripped away, the film's narrative turns subjective, showing us Fuse's guilt, emotional isolation, and the inevitable erosion of a person's identity when living under totalitarian regimes. The film draws heavily on the popular fairy tale Little Red Riding Hood by reimagining the members of the brigades and soldiers at large as wolves bound by a strict code. Though these wolves are just following orders, their predatory instinct causes them to dig their fangs into a society consumed by fear. Laboriously paced with a special attention towards developing the unsaturated color palette, this is a film that will draw you in through meticulous realism and overwhelming atmosphere. There's no spectacle in the world of Jin-Roh, just quiet decay. The film is so dependent on its realism that at one point, it was almost envisioned as a live-action film. Later, the director went the hand-drawn route, and true to 90s style, it was made using about 80,000 cells. And mind you, the average anime film only consisted of about 30,000. Jin-Roh might have been a contender for the Academy Award, but unfortunately, it was disqualified as it had already been released on home video in Japan. This film isn't about heroes or villains, but rather a meditation on the mechanisms of power, loyalty, love, and the loss of innocence, where the only thing that works is violence. Ghost in the Shell, 1995. When it comes to creating bleak worlds and broken characters, my guy Mamoru Oshii is something of a genius. Now, we know we promised to steer clear of iconic films, but we're sure that there's still someone out there who hasn't heard of Ghost in the Shell. This isn't a film, in our opinion, but a work of philosophical introspection on technology and human consciousness. Set in the near future, this is a cybernetic world where human bodies can be easily augmented via tech. And it's not just about physical changes, as even our minds are connected through a series of vast digital networks too difficult for us to comprehend. Our protagonist is Major Motoko Kusanagi, a cybernetically enhanced operative working as a counter-terrorism officer in the Public Security Section 9. The story kicks off with Motoko on the trail of a mysterious hacker known as the Puppet Master, but as she digs deeper, things get really existential. She begins to question her identity. Well, the idea of the self can be pretty elusive in a world like this. When your memories are always susceptible to change and your bodies are expendable, is anything even real anymore? The director, Mamoru Oshii, intentionally made the decision to never have Kusanagi blink in the film, as it endowed her with an almost doll-like presence. It's a real Ship of Theseus situation nestled neatly in a film filled with political intrigue. There are many moments of quiet introspection where the viewer is forced to just marvel at urban landscapes brought to life by a one-of-a-kind soundscape that really works to evoke a sense of isolation. In the world of Ghost in the Shell, technology is neither destructive nor liberating, it's merely an appendage. another extension of humanity. Watch this one for the striking imagery and philosophical dialogue, because we promise you'll be left asking for more. Patlabor, the movie, 1989. In the year 1989, Mamoru Oshii forayed into the sci-fi genre once more with Patlabor, a film that blended the mecha spectacles we're so used to with the genre roots of a police procedural. The film began as a mixed media project consisting of manga, OVAs, and novels by the creative group Headgear. But if you read between the lines, you'll be pretty quick to pick up on the fact that this tale is actually a good study of balance between technology and responsibility. Oshii returns once more to his favorite setting, a futuristic Tokyo where human civilization has grown completely dependent on humanoid construction robots known as labors. We follow the Special Vehicles Section 2 as they encounter various labors malfunctioning and threatening public safety. As this intriguing mystery gradually unfolds, what lies behind the curtain are acts of sabotage entrenched deep into the city's foundation and infrastructure. This is undoubtedly an allegory about the unforeseen risks associated with humanity's reliance on technology. Of course, Oshii pays great attention to realism while maintaining the kind of atmosphere that gets under your skin. He intentionally made the labors industrial in their aesthetic, which allows them to stand out from more heroic mechas that the audience was already familiar with. Instead of constant action, what we have here is the masterful use of urban landscapes, mechanical detail, and a really deliberate use of pacing to evoke the inherent dangers of a society advancing without accountability. We're sure that now, in the year 2026, this one will strike a chord with quite a few of you. Patlabor 2, the movie, 1993. Yup, we're back with more Mamoru Oshii brilliance, and he's really on fire with this one. Patlabor 2 is another politically charged sci-fi film created by the prolific director that transforms this franchise's lighthearted beginning into something much deeper and darker. Oshii played the audiences once more by intentionally removing every shred of comedy, knowing that the audience would more or less be expecting it at this point. This is a soulful meditation on peace, authority, and modern warfare that allows us a glimpse of a futuristic Japan which has just entered a period of uneasy stability following the Cold War. This time, we follow the members of Special Vehicles Section 2 who are dealing with a series of terrorist attacks and military provocations that really cause you to think about the blurry line between internal security and open conflict. The prime suspect behind these violent incidents is a former JSDF officer named Suge Yukihiro. The film uses his story to ask poignant questions about whether peace maintained through technological superiority and wars fought at a distance from home is even peace at all. In this one, Oshii frames Tokyo as both a safe space and a prison where a calm exterior hides the flaws in the system lurking in the shadows. In typical Oshii style, he uses silence and realism to shift away from the mecha fights of the earlier installments towards a more philosophical space where you're forced to think about the ways in which a state exercises and exploits its powers. After all, even preservation can sometimes have an ethical cost. Here, war isn't just an external threat, but a banal reality that the characters are forced to live with every single day. Roujin Z, 1991. Listen, we don't want to sound like gatekeepers, but if you're a sci-fi film fan and you haven't seen the works of Katsuhiro Otomo, well, are you really? Because, I mean, come on, the man made Akira. But today, we're going to take a detour and talk about Akira's underrated twin, Roujin Z, which came out in 1991. This darkly satirical take on the genre functions as a critique of relentless technological advancements through the lens of aging care and state control. Once again, we find ourselves in the near future where Japan is grappling with an ever-increasing elderly population. The focus this time is around Z001, an experimental, fully automated hospital bed that's designed to take care of patients with almost zero human intervention. The designs for the bed were actually borrowed from plausible healthcare concepts, which shows Otomo's strict adherence to the real world. But when this marvelous piece of equipment is assigned to a terminally ill war veteran named Kyoto Takazawa, something completely unforeseen begins to transpire. The bed's AI begins evolving beyond its functionality and absorbs Takazawa's memories and desires to become something that goes beyond both humanity and technology. This kickstarts a bureaucratic spiral that asks a simple question: how do you remain compassionate within a system that is inherently indifferent? To be honest, Roujin Z's absurd humor and introspection about the ethical failures of modern technology are far more relevant today than they ever have been. Interestingly, the film itself is a product of technological advancement in the field of animation, as it was one of the first stories to blend primitive CGI with hand-drawn animation. Memories, 1995. For this entry, we're going to be looking at the 1995 anthology film Memories, which was produced by Katsuhiro Otomo. Otomo has often cited this one as an experiment in tone and not really a franchise. He wanted to see how far he could stretch audience discomfort while creating separation in structure and genre. It's comprised of 3 stories, each of which turns its attention towards a different facet of technological anxiety. It opens with a haunting psychological drama called Magnetic Rose, which features space salvagers visiting a derelict ship. However, there is something about this abandoned spacecraft that draws the team members towards a world shaped by memory, loss, and hallucination. For the next installment, the anthology goes through a sharp shift in tone, as Stink Bomb is honestly one of the funniest sci-fi stories we've ever come across. This dark satire presents us with a setting where inept bureaucrats throw the world into an absurd spiral which can only end in total biological catastrophe. For the last part, Cannon Fodder, the film almost turns into a moving storybook as we travel through a militarized society that's perpetually at war with nothing whatsoever. They literally have no clear purpose or enemy, but they just can't seem to stop fighting. Though the tones vary greatly across the 3 stories of the anthology, the point Memories is trying to make is clear. Humans are self-destructive creatures who are very adept at creating systems that will one day destroy them. Spriggan, 1998. Spriggan is an adaptation of the manga written by Hiroshi Takashige and Ryoji Minagawa, which was first released in 1998. The film, however, compresses several story arcs which have led to fans often viewing the film as an alternate continuity rather than a strict adaptation. A high-octane action film, this story expertly blends together 2 integral facets of human existence: ancient mythology and modern militarism. We find ourselves in a world where relics from civilization lost to time are unearthed by the authorities. As a result, our protagonist, Yu Omanai, an elite operative known as Spriggan, is tasked with securing these artifacts before their boundless powers can be used to create weapons of mass destruction. When a particularly powerful relic, Noah's Ark, draws the attention of a rogue faction from the US military, the entire world erupts into chaos. What follows is a worldwide struggle for power that threatens to destroy everything. This film offers an interesting glimpse into a world where cutting-edge tech stands in contrast to primal forces that are so awe-inspiring that the human mind can barely comprehend them. But what really makes this story tick is humanity's innate impulse to dominate and control what they fail to understand. The cautionary tale is depicted with dynamic action sequences that won't fail to keep you hooked to the screen for its entire duration. X, 1996. Based on a manga by Clamp, this dark apocalyptic tale was directed by Rintaro in 1996. Even today, it stands as one of the few fantasy films that have managed to expertly blend supernatural spectacle with emotional crisis. It transports the viewer into the near future, where Tokyo is on the brink of inevitable destruction. Strangely, the idea for the apocalypse occurring in 1999 was chosen by the members of Clamp before the tale even existed. In the middle of this chaos, we find our protagonist, a young man named Kamui Shiro, whose return to the city is essentially a prophecy that foresees the ultimate conflict between 2 powerful factions. On one hand, we have the Dragons of Heaven, who seek to preserve humanity, while on the other, there are the Dragons of Earth, who are dedicated to bringing about human extinction as they believe that it's the only way in which the planet can be saved. Kamui finds himself torn between these 2 philosophies. Thus, the apocalypse is not just a cosmic event, but a personal conflict that Kamui must handle on his own. The film employs gothic imagery to drive the scale of the whole thing home, while the atmosphere almost leads you to believe that you're watching a grand opera in anime form. It's evident that the creators wanted to develop a modern myth using real Tokyo geography, which is a fact that comes across in every frame. Brutal and violent, this is a film where the end of the world and your personal beliefs are basically indistinguishable from one another. Demon City Shinjuku. If you're a sucker for style, then you will undoubtedly find Demon City Shinjuku a treat for the senses. Directed by Yoshiaki Kawajiri, this supernatural action film is emblematic of excess and nihilism, which were staples of late 1980s anime. The film is an adaptation of a novel by Hideyuki Kikuchi, who also created the iconic Vampire Hunter D franchise. This post-apocalyptic nightmare depicts a world where demons run free in the wastelands of Shinjuku, and the only thing standing in their way is a young swordsman by the name of Kiyoya Izayoi. The son of a hero who fell to demonic forces, Hyoya inherits his father's destiny. He must now defeat the dark forces that threaten both the human world and the demonic realm. The atmosphere is bleak, the action is violent, and the whole affair is an exaggeration of economic bubble anxieties that inhabitants of Japan were so familiar with back in the 80s. And, well, there's also a bunch of sword fighting that genuinely never fails to impress due to its unique visual flair. So, if you have a thing for the gory and grotesque as we do, check this one out ASAP. Fist of the North Star, the movie, 1986. Now, Fist of the North Star is an anime that kickstarted a whole genre of burly men taking on monsters all on its own. However, despite the iconic nature of the original series, the film often tends to go unnoticed. For the uninitiated, Fist of the North Star is the tale of Kenshiro, a burly specimen, a mere glimpse of whom is enough to increase your testosterone levels. He wanders through a world torn apart by nuclear war as a protector of the weak. As a master of the deadly martial art, Okudo Shinken, he's a man who can take on even the most powerful of warlords using his precise techniques. However, when Kenshiro's fiancée, Yuria, is kidnapped by the tyrannical Shin, Kenshiro must embark on a quest of vengeance that might make your stomach turn. Though there's not much plot here, the hyper-violent fights, as well as the evergreen themes of loyalty, love, and power, more than make up for it. Marvelous verdict! We already told you, anime in the 80s and 90s was a different kind of edgy, full of bleakness and violence. These are stories that allow you a glimpse of worlds where anything that can go wrong will go wrong. But maybe that's exactly why we love these films so damn much. Unfortunately, that's all we got for you this time, but do let us know if you know any more films like these in the comments down below. Have a great one out there, and we'll catch you real soon with another marvelous video.